Oh, can we do this?
I don't know. Are we able to do this with two people?
No, yeah, no, I can do it with one person. Let's go.
Of course you can.
We have breaking news. We got one person watching, but hold on. It's been a while, man. I'm kind of rusty.
We can do it. We got this. You got this. You're not that old.
Is this it? I think this is. I don't know. It's let's have the show or bust. I hope this is the right clip. Welcome, all you DC nerds and nerds alike. I just gave Dawson an uninterrupted intro, just kind of putting his stuff out there.
Check out DJW Art.com for all your Dawson Wiedrich art utilities.
And guys, follow everybody on whatever the hell this platform is. It used to be Twitter. We don't know what to call it anymore, but everyone is found there. And if you'd like, you can also check out some of my shirts. Grab one and two, whatever. It's all good as long as you will wear it in style. But without further ado, oh crap! I thought you click on it. Yeah, there we go. Hey, got a third nerd. Can you hear?
Tentative third nerd. I don't have a headset. How can he can't hear anything. He doesn't have a headset.
It's too high. I'll go up.
Wait, is there another? You don't
what?
Have it.
No. What? Shit. No. No, he took it.
We're off to a wonderful start.
Well, anyway, this is impromptu. What? No, you can stay here.
Well, I can't hear nothing.
Oh, you can hear me?
Hold on, let me get a.
Okay. Well, anyway,
let your boy get a headset.
All right. So what's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us. We are down to nerds, but we have a pseudo nerd, and then we'll have another nerd join us a little bit. And we're here to talk about all the cool stuff that's happening. And we just had, like I played at the beginning of the broadcast, we just had breaking news that we read, and I'll let Phil take it away.
Should have had that set up before I fucking did it, but
and we're back.
We are back. But no, we have some breaking news as of like literally 10 minutes ago. The SAG strike has officially come to an end. SAG-AFTRA reaches tentative agreement with studios ending the actor strike. The work stoppage will end 12:01 a.m. Thursday, meaning tomorrow morning. And just to go over this real quick, after a grueling 118 days on strike, SAG-AFTRA has officially reached a tentative agreement on a new 3-year contract with studios, a move that is heralding the end of the 2023 actor strike. SAG-AFTRA TV Theatrical Committee approved the agreement in a unanimous vote on Wednesday. SAG-AFTRA has announced the strike will end at 12:01 a.m. Thursday. On Friday, the deal will go into Union's National Boardroom on a Friday for approval. The Performers Union announced the provisional agreement on Wednesday after about 2 weeks of renewed negotiations. The development on Wednesday came not long before a deadline of 5 p.m. The Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers had set for the union to give their answer on whether they had a deal. The union is far being mum on the details of the agreement, which will likely emerge over the next few days. The union's ratification vote, if the deal is ratified, the contract could soon go into effect. If not, members would essentially send their labor negotiators back to the bargaining table with the AMPTP. When negotiations restarted on October 2nd for the first time since SAG-AFTRA called its work stoppage in July, hopes were high the industry and Hollywood's largest unions could come to terms with major companies quickly, just like they had in the final days of the writers' negotiations. Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos, Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, Disney CEO Bob Iger, and NBC Universal Studio Group Chairman and Chief of Content Officer Donna Langley attended the talks at the union's national headquarters in Los Angeles. But the studio ended up walking out on October 11th over SAG-AFTRA's proposal to charge a fee per every streaming subscriber on major platforms, in a move that the union's chief negotiator called mystifying. Sarandos called that ask a bridge too far. Bullshit, it's not. Anyway, the sides reconvened on October 24th after a nearly 2-week break. This time, the studios came in with a more generous offer to increase actor wages floors in a slightly modified version of a success-based streaming bonus they had previously offered the WGA. I don't know why the fuck they didn't do that the first time, but they should have. Thank fuck they did it now. Anyway,
Right.
the two sides exchanged proposals for much of the week in a tense situation that had the industry on the edge. Even as deals came into sight, progress was slow, especially when it came to putting up the contract's inaugural guardrails on AI. The unions considered the rapidly advancing technology an absolutely existential issue for members and sought to close any potential loopholes that could lead to future issues. On Saturday, the studios presented what the union characterized as company's last, best, and final overarching offer. Still, the two sides kept swapping offers after. When the union's previous contract expired in mid-July and SAG-AFTRA went out on strike, many outstanding issues were left on the table. Setting terms for the use of AI was a major sticking point between union and studio negotiators, as was a proposal to provide cast with the additional streaming compensation. Union negotiators sought to institute an unusually large minimum rate increase in the first year of contract, a host of ground rules for self-taped virtual auditions, and major increases to health and pension contribution caps that have not been changed since the 1980s. Meanwhile, as the entertainment business continues to experience a period of contraction, major companies look to preserve some of the measures of flexibility and cost control. SAG-AFTRA strike coming as it did amid an ongoing writer strike in July gave the union an unusual amount of leverage in its early talks with AMPTP. Operating without writers, almost immediately, the most remaining unionized U.S. productions that were operating without writers shut down, including Deadpool 3 and Venom 3. And as the months of the work stoppage stretched on, a strategist at the Milken Institute had estimated the strike have cost the California economy alone at least $6 billion. But pressure started to build as the strike neared surpassed its 100-day mark. A-list actors began talking to both their union and the studios in an attempt to improve progress in negotiations. A number of actors also started drafting a letter expressing concerns about the union's leadership, but held back from publishing, fearful of the missive's potential impact on negotiations. Then on October 26, a separate letter was released, signed by apparently thousands of actors, exhorting negotiators, we have not come all this way to cave now. The amount of time the union spent on the strike in 2023 will certainly raise expectations for the deal they reach with the studios. In the union's upcoming ratification vote, the date of which has not yet been announced, members will decide whether the pact is acceptable to them. And that is the final word on THR's exclusive. And this was written by Katie Kilkenny. I have never seen. This is the first time I'm reading. I'm sure I've read something from this writer prior, but this is the first time I'm seeing something from them. So that's neat.
No, I don't know them personally. But
we are. No, it's done.
It's
Finito.
Done. It's
done.
We're I guess they said what pending
vote sometime.
Yeah. So I mean, for the most part, if they're publishing this, it's probably over. So
yes.
People actors will start being able to promote their content and all that kind of stuff and kind of get back into the swing of things. So I mean, it's good. It's it's always good to kind of come to terms and all that, versus what like Bob Iger and other people were saying back in August or September. Yeah, it's good. I mean, eventually, we all knew that this was going to come to come to a head, come to a climax, come to an agreement. It just took a little bit longer than I thought. As far as for I thought that the writers would complete at the end of September, and then like the actors would just take October, but kind of moved it into November a little bit, which I mean, it puts a strain on some projects, but there's not a lot. I don't think there's a lot that really got impacted by this, other than like Dune 2, Snow White,
the Marvels,
the
Marvels in the sense of promotion, because
sure,
this we're literally 2 days away from this movie coming out. Not one of the main cast could say a fucking thing about it, and the red carpet premiere was last night. So, that as far as that kind of sucks, because that movie probably could have benefited from having the three main actors out.
It definitely could have benefited, because it's not doing any favors for itself as far as what we've seen.
Right.
It doesn't look like it's going to trend or going to really draw in a lot of people. It's going to be, I'm going to say, I think Blue Beetle is probably going to be a better, more solid film than this thing. I mean, it's got, the built-in audience and everything that, because of the Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel and the Scarlet Witch show that, people were watching or whatever, it's got the built-in audience, but I don't know if it's going to do anything.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, the only positive thing I can say is like, hey, at least you don't know nothing. You know, at least you're going in with like blank slate. I mean,
I already know the both post credit scenes, but yeah, you're right.
Well, yeah, but for the common audience, I mean, at least it's not like, you know,
is Samuel L. Jackson going to be in it?
Trailer and like
yes,
you know, most of the story. It's the only one positive thing I can think of from that.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the Marvel specifically, I kind of gauge it now. It's weird now because when you think about Marvel movies, like the only other comparison, the fair comparison, I think, from at least for me, I compare it to other Marvel movies. And as far as I'm concerned, the bottom of the barrel is both Taika Waititi movies. There's no way this movie can be worse than that. I mean, it's based on the trailers. It looks fine. Like I like Nia DaCosta. I like Candyman. I really like that movie that she did. And I have, you know, based on the clip they showed of that action beat they showed, I was like, okay, this is kind of like Aquaman. I can get behind this. Like I said, for me, it can't be any worse than Thor: Love and Thunder or Ragnarok.
Ooh. So yes, I'll agree with you on that. It can't. I think as far as a barometer, I think Thor: Love and Thunder is like what you can say. Okay, Thor: Love and Thunder is like the bottom of the barrel as far as like, you know, what they've produced.
100%
as a film.
Yes,
as a theatrical released film, Thor: Love and Thunder is got to be the just the bottom of the barrel.
And would you say that
it's going to take a really horrible film and a horrible director?
Would you say the top of that barometer would probably be Winter Soldier?
Oh yeah, no, definitely, because the thing is, and what's interesting about Winter Soldier is it's not like all the other Marvel movies. It doesn't have that formula.
Right.
It's not as formulaic. It's sort of, in my opinion, like The Empire Strikes Back, where it goes a little bit further and deep dives into the universe that was been established and created. And that's when we were still on fertile ground with Marvel, and it hadn't been Disneyfied yet.
Sure, yeah. So James Gunn, depending on your perception of the MCU and when it really started to take a turn. I'm of the mind that the MCU really started to lean heavily into the humor and the bullshit with after Guardians of the Galaxy.
It did, because they were like, oh, that works. We want to use it in every single film after that. Because after Thor: The Dark World didn't really, you know, bring in the the box office numbers or anything like that. They were like, okay, we're going to.
It did fine, but it didn't like leave a mark. Like
it didn't leave a mark because, you know, it was an interesting movie. Wasn't as good as the first Thor, in my opinion, but I liked it. I didn't have any problems with it. What do you think about The Dark World?
Oh God, forgettable.
The Dark Elves?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, very, very forgettable, man.
Okay.
I mean, I do like Chris Hemsworth. I do like Thor. Thor: Love and Thunder was a huge letdown. Dark World, again, forgettable. I mean, I think they're just trying to make everybody Tony Stark with the humor, man. Like, it's just like I mean, even with the talks about like, you know, okay, we're gonna bring Iron Man back. You know, rumors, it's probably not gonna happen, but
shouldn't. But I mean, if you look,
soon, no.
The same thing with what Phil was saying earlier about Guardians of the Galaxy. If you look at Thor: Ragnarok, they were trying to, from, you know, the Dark Universe or
Dark World,
from the Dark World to the Ragnarok, they were like, no, we're going to Guardians of the Galaxy this thing.
Yeah,
we're gonna totally, you know, do that, and it didn't really work, in my opinion, because it's not.
It didn't work for us, but general audiences ate it the fuck up.
Yeah, sure. No, I can agree with that. It had funny moments in it. I liked a lot of this. I liked a lot of the stuff that they injected into it, you know. But I didn't like a lot of the stuff that they injected.
It was
as well.
Guardians of the Galaxy-ified, if that makes any sense.
It got the treatment.
Yeah, it got that. There you go. It got the treatment. And then, like, you know, you look at other films that came out after that, like, for example, the one that kind of sticks out to me the most that doesn't really follow that mold all too well is Black Panther, right? Because you had a director like Ryan Coogler, you had Chadwick Boseman, who was introduced in Civil War to play T'Challa, and there's really not too much like poke in your face humor with it. It's really subtle, like, you know, when Shuri tells T'Challa about, like, you know, oh, I made these you know, these things that Baba would have liked, like sneakers from that old movie that he used to watch, Back to the Future. And it's like, okay, that's clever. That's good humor. Whereas if you look at something like fucking Age of Ultron, every 5 to 10 minutes, it's a fucking one-liner. It's a fucking in-your-face, ha ha ha. It's
everybody
like
has to have a turn. It's kind of like,
yes,
it's kind of like they changed it into, so what does WWE do? You know, they give every character some cliche line or whatever. The thing I liked about the first Black Panther movie was the villain. and that's what made the movie for me was Warmonger. Killmonger.
Michael B. Jordan, yes.
Michael B. Jordan. I mean, a good villain makes the movie. A good villain, kind of gets you invested because you're like, oh, how does the protagonist overcome, this force that's in his way? And unfortunately, a lot of these,
I mean, a good villain makes the movie, but like Bale did a kick-ass job, in my opinion. But it was still
he did a good job
movie.
Okay,
with
I'll
his
concede that, because as Brian and I have said, like the low of the low bar is either Ragnarok or Love and Thunder, depending on your pick. But for me, the high points of Love and Thunder were Natalie Portman and Christian Bale. But even then, Christian Bale had little to work with what we were.
Well, the thing is that if you look at Christian Bale and Chris Hemsworth, there wasn't this built dichotomy. There wasn't a story that wrapped around. They were just kind of like, they're characters in this world that happen to meet. And that's not compelling. Nobody gives a shit about that. So what you want to do is you want to create a cause and effect, and you want to say, okay, Thor did this and that caused Christian Bale's character to do this.
Right.
Which
and it's funny you mentioned that, because I read Jason Aaron's first volume of that Thor run, in which Gore the God Butcher is introduced. And it's exactly that. Yeah. The actions of gods are the direct result of why Gore chose to do what he did and why he goes on this god killing rampage.
And they barely touch on that at like the beginning.
At the very beginning of the movie. And then it's completely left to just rot for the rest of the film. Yeah, definitely. But I think this is
all you see is what like giant gods in the background dead. Like it's all like stuff that's
it's implied.
Yeah, it's implied.
It's like it's like, oh, we didn't really want to go through all that.
All the cool stuff.
I do think that this is a good segue into, I would believe, a first topic, since we're on the topic of Marvel.
Sure.
The Marvel's early reviews and box office predictions. I know you're not really on the X app all that much. I don't know how many of the early
I really don't get on. There was some controversy the last night that Marvel barely hire real directors anymore. They hire people that are going to do what they need.
Right.
They hire people who are going to conform to the cookie cutter.
Look how many directors they fired, right?
Creative differences
especially on TV shows, right?
Yeah. And so, like you were saying, I'm not too thrilled with the Marvels. I'm not like looking forward to it. I'll watch it, but I'm not gonna. It doesn't compel me enough to like. I don't know. Is this theatrical or
theatrical?
Is this okay? So I'm not gonna go to the theater to see it.
That's fair.
I will watch it. Just I don't really have a need or care or desire to go see it.
I'm still debating on whether or not I want to make the trek out this weekend to go see it. Purely because of financial reasons, but also because I've had both post-credit scenes.
If I had free movie tickets,
so I already know what it.
If I had free movie tickets, I wouldn't use them for this movie.
That's fair.
I would wait for Napoleon or not Wonka. I liked Wonka in the beginning, and now that I've seen another trailer, I don't like it as much. It's just kind of like, but yeah, no, I would definitely. I might even use it for freaking Aquaman too.
Oh, I'm seeing that day one. There's no doubt about that. I will watch that day one.
I just watched that Insidious movie, The Red Door, with Worm. I watched it. Okay. So I just watched it.
How was that?
So I just watched it with Patrick Wilson, and I was like, "Yeah, no, he's coming out. I want to see it." So I'm a huge fan of Patrick Wilson because of Insidious, and also because of the Conjuring movies, and also because of the Watchmen. I think he's a fantastic actor, and I want to see the buddy cop thing vibe that they have going on with Jason Momoa. But yeah, I'm just not sold on the Marvels thing. I don't care that Samuel L. Jackson's in it. I don't like Brie Larson's version of Captain Marvel. Matt Rambo, we barely got to meet her or know her or whatever. She was fine in WandaVision, but I'm not like
she was a standout. She was a standout on that show for me. Yeah.
The problem is, and we talked about this last week. The problem is that they do not kind of pepper these characters in like they used to.
Would you say the only reason that, say, you or I would, if we wanted to or could go see this movie, would be purely because of Miss Marvel, Iman Vellani's character? Because I know I'm pretty sure you like that show. I know I liked it.
She seems the most fun, and I like her powers. She'd be the only reason why I would really want to watch it. That, and then secondly would be Monica Rambeau, and then thirdly, unfortunately, would be Samuel L. Jackson. And I don't even know who the villain is.
Okay. From what I've seen,
the weird Parent Trap kind of thing going on, or whatever.
It's a character called Dar-Bell, and I'm sure I think it has some precedent in Marvel Comics, but I'm not that familiar with the character either. Like, from what I've seen, a lot of people who have seen it already said the villain is forgettable, which is like, okay, yeah, that's pretty on par for most Marvel movies. The villain tends to be
right. It looks
right.
it looks like a generic person,
and it looks like she's also got the hammer from Ronan the Accuser.
Oh, okay.
Wait for it. Guardians of
the
the Galaxy.
Let us know what you think, because I'm interested.
Ricardo.
A random villain
no one cares about. There you go.
And that's what we were just saying. Okay, the biggest villains for me that I resonate to for Marvel is Loki, Killmonger, and Thanos.
That's fair.
Because they're the most interesting villains. Because, you know, it's like there's something about them that's sort of like, not that you resonate with, but just
there's gravitas there.
Yeah, there's gravitas to them. Every other, like the Ant-Man villain, what's his name? Yellow Jacket. Even Kang. I don't care about the Majors guy. Like some people are like, oh no, the universe is falling apart because of Majors. Dude, he'd be a simple recast for me. Like, get anybody else and then
talked about this last week.
Kind of retool the character and make me care about him, because I don't care about this character. I barely cared about him when I saw him in Loki. He was just kind of like, to me, he felt like that. He felt like the Matrix. He felt like the architect from the Matrix.
Resurrections,
Colonel Sanders.
I mean, technically.
Oh, Colonel. Okay, from
that guy. He was like
Revolutions. Got you. Okay.
Yeah, the one that comes into the old guy that he had all the screens around him and all that. And he was like speaking in goofy language, trying to be Yoda.
That would have been cool if they did that.
Okay, hold on. We got to bring this up here. I heavily relate to the High Evolutionary. Did you just give James Gunn a high five? Mr. I hate James Gunn over
Axel
here.
Joga is a real he's a real guy for James Gunn. Real good supporter.
Real good supporter for James Gunn. You're right. Absolutely. 100%. No, I mean, I actually kind of like High Evolutionary as a villain. I thought of the 3 Guardians films, he was probably the best villain in that trilogy, in my humble opinion. Mm-hmm. But that's just me. I can only speak for myself most of the time. But he was
because he was actually a villain. In the second one, it was his dad. And his dad, it was kind of weird because he was just a head.
Hold on.
But I mean, it's lore, it's comic, it's whatever. But in the first one, it was what's his name with Ronan. And I was like, so you're gonna do a breakdancing thing at the end?
Yeah.
That pulled me out of it. Like, Andre loved it.
Yeah, no.
But that pulled me out.
But that's been the future ever since,
Yeah,
so that's the humor that we.
It's like Guardians of the Galaxy was just sort of like it was refreshing because it was different. It stepped out of the cookie cutter kind of thing, but then they were like,
made it interesting.
Make this the cookie cutter going forward. And I was like, no, don't do that. We need diversity. We need change. We need tell a story from reverse. I don't care. Do something different. Show us something
like Memento.
Yeah,
like Memento. I like that.
As much if you don't have the formula.
Yeah,
without the formula, you're going to be posting less and less content.
Sure. No, and that's true as well. But that's how I understand where Dawson is when he's talking about like superhero movie fatigue, in that nobody wants to watch the same shit over and over and over again.
Yeah, we're fatigued of the same shit, not superheroes. So.
Yeah.
I think Marvel has definitely had a hand in that fatigue because they've shown more or less the same stuff over and over again over the last 2 years. Definitely.
Love to hate him.
Great job.
Yeah.
That seems to be a recurring theme. Everyone loves to hate James Gunn these days.
So with the SAG thing being over, and it's being released this weekend, what do you think conservatively the box office numbers would be for the Marvels?
I think on the whole, it's going to get somewhere between 50 to 65 million, 65 million being the high.
Yeah,
that's
I was right there with you with 50. I was like, I hope that's where I would land with this, because they're not going to be able to promote it.
Nope.
Maybe once on some talk show,
possibly after the fact, like next week, right? Like they're going to have this big, oh, here's Brie Larson. She can finally talk about the Marvels. Oh, here's Teyana Paris and here's Mon Villani. They can finally talk about this movie that came out last week, blah, 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 blah. Right. It's going to be something akin to that. And maybe we might see a not so significant second week drop, but based on like Ant-Man and Guardians and all the other superhero films that have come out this year, I just don't see that.
There was an article that I happened to see today, and it said the Marvels is not as bad as everyone is trying to make it out to be. And I was like,
always say that.
I was like, wow. I was like, that if that's not desperate, that's not desperate. I don't know.
Hilarious. Matter of fact, I think I saw the Rotten Tomato score for it. Not that it matters to any of us, but like I saw that it landed at 54, 58%, something like that. And it's like, yeah, that tracks for their given current record. So it is what it is.
I mean, just knowing the fact that it's going to come out a month or two later on Disney Plus, I feel like
right.
That's huge, like
that's another thing. What is it? 45 days,
and it's already coming out. I don't know.
45 to 90 days. That's the window now. Yeah.
So I mean, again, you had the pandemic. People were starting to put bigger screens and everything.
You know what I bet they're going to do?
In their homes.
I bet you anything they're going to pull what they did with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever and put it out around Christmas on Disney Plus. That's my guess.
Okay. Did it do gangbusters with Wonder Woman 84? Because that's what they did for that.
That was also at the tail end of the pandemic too, and it had day and date release with the limited theaters that were open and on HBO Max same day. So it's a bit different, but I do have a feeling that if they wanted to just kind of give it a bit of a boost in a holiday scenario, that's their best chance right there, is putting it on Disney Plus on Christmas or around Christmas, right around Christmas.
Do you think they'll do the same thing with Aquaman? After it releases, do you think they'll release it again on what is the platform now?
Max
on the 25th. To the Max on the 25th.
No, because its release date moved from the 20th to the 22nd, and I highly doubt they're going to put it on Max immediately. I'd actually wager that film is probably going to hit Max sometime in February, if not early March. That's my guess.
Yeah, I mean, how long did it take for The Flash? I felt like The Flash was fast to Max.
Oh yeah, he's a speech.
No. I feel like that was pretty quick. I feel like
it also bombed heavily at the box office. That's why they put it on Max so fast.
True.
Yes. Whenever there is panic, they're like, just fucking release it. We don't care. Just release it. We don't care.
Get it out there.
Get it out there. Get eyes on it. All that. So
yeah.
I don't think the Flash did have a Chinese release too. So
it did.
Even with that, it didn't help at all at the global box office.
It did not.
Pummeled my stocks.
I pulled out. I had to wait until Barbie to pull out my stocks.
Yeah, you did.
It crumbled. It was going up
like, hold on,
right before we saw the Flash.
Man, people are talking shit about this.
And then right after the Flash went just down the tubes, I was like, no, my money. And then I was like, okay, Barbie's coming out. Barbie came out, and I was like, okay, now I'll pull my money out. And I'm glad I did, because after Barbie, it went back down.
Yeah.
It's wild to me. It's so wild to me that now superhero films are starting to see a steep decline in terms of popularity with the general audience. But I was been talking with a couple different people about this, specifically with Marvel. Like, they done an Avengers film or some kind of massive team up film at the end of Phase 4, it probably would have gone a long way. But the fact they didn't do that, you now have general audience and even fans going like, what the fuck are we leading to? Yeah, like, yes, we know the multiverse saga is happening. But like, what is a payoff here for the Phase 4? And there wasn't really much of a payoff at all. We were just given a whole bunch of new shit to look at. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. But like, when are we going to see these characters like come together in some sense? All
right, hold on one second. And he vanished. All right. Thanks. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So I agree with you. I agree with you in that, there was no payoff. There was no reason to invest your time, your energy, and also like the writing was subpar. That's why I was like, I didn't understand the writer's strike, because I was like, dude, number one, everything that I've seen across the board from Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, even Paramount, the things that they were releasing, even on their smaller platforms, is just not good writing. And I was like, you guys are saying that you're being underpaid or whatever. Are you purposely writing bad movies because you're not getting paid well, so you don't really care as much? Or like, what's the deal? because that was one thing I just never understood, because I was like, man, third acts in movies nowadays are a good third act is so hard to find. A good third act in any, like, whether it's horror or adventure or action or comic book or whatever, third acts are always so hard to find now. It's like these people just don't know how to end a movie or end a story.
I think the strongest third act I've seen in a long while, I mean, Oppenheimer aside, because that movie's just brilliant start to finish, but in terms of like superhero comic book films, Spider-Man No Way Home. But even then, that you can chalk that up to the novelty of having all three Peters in the third act of the film, right?
Sure.
Honestly, like, yeah, that's really the only one I can really kind of think of at the moment that has like a strong third act. I mean, Jurassic World Dominion didn't really have. It's not a superhero film, but it's like
it's a franchise.
It's a franchise, and like the novelty of that third act was, oh look, you've got Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, and who's the third character they have there?
Homeboy. He was also in Thor. You talking about Jeff Goldblum?
Well, that's the thing. You had Bryce Dallas Howard, Chris Pratt, and then you had the original trio from
right. Yeah, right. You also had the other guy,
Sam Neill and Laura Dern.
Sam Neill, yes. And I like Sam Neill. I think he's a great actor, and Laura Dern.
Yes,
I think that's her name. And they're good actors. It's just, again, dude, it's bad writing, bad story. I mean, yes, these are movies that are just popcorn flicks. Just big dinosaurs running around. But I mean, you can make a compelling story with that kind of stuff. It's
right.
But yeah, I mean, because they can hit them out of the ballpark every now and then. I mean, hell, you had what was it, 8mm?
Blue Beetle had a really good third act, but that again, you look at typical superhero films, that one
it was a cookie cutter third act, but it
not
still
so much, but it kind of broke the mold a little bit, because instead of the hero having to save the loved one, it was the other way around, where the family had to go save the hero.
Sure.
And he also learned a fucking lesson in that I'm eager to kill the bad guy, and then all of a sudden I get the flashback of said bad guy. I shouldn't kill him because I actually feel for him on a human level. Mm-hmm. However you feel about that, not you, but the collective you that is general audience has probably looked at that and went, Yeah. I found it endearing, but was it compelling enough for a general audience standpoint? Probably not, because again, that film made, just a little over 100 million worldwide on a $100 million budget. So
yeah. Well, I mean, and just going back on Blue Beetle, I love Blue Beetle. I thought it was, fun movie,
Same.
the best DC movie of the year
so far.
It was better than The Flash as far as it made sense. The Flash had a lot of really good endearing qualities to it, but it had a lot of stuff, a lot of flaws, a lot of logic errors, and a lot of wasted time too. And then, but Blue Beetle, you had this movie that was made for the small screen that they converted, to be a theatrical release.
Right.
And so it already had that working against it, in my opinion. It's kind of like, the Batgirl. I don't think the Batgirl would have been able to do the same thing that the Blue Beetle did. I think it would have been a decent, fun film, but I don't think it would have hit as much or as hard as Blue Beetle did.
I think you would have had a lot more Batman fans turn out for Batgirl than you did The Flash. That's just me personally, though. Whether or not
both movies had Keaton, and Keaton really didn't draw. I thought he was going to draw more, because
I think we all did.
Mere nostalgia, yeah, and that's kind of what I was banking on financially. But that didn't work out. But yeah, I mean, it I thought it was. I was like, dude, Batman prints money, but apparently that particular Batman has had his day in the sun. Has had his day in the Batwing, and he's just kind of like, he's done. Yeah, and the same thing with with Clooney. Just same, it was the same with Dawson didn't like seeing Clooney.
Same. I didn't either.
I didn't mind it. I get it. I was like, I understand what they were doing. They didn't want to continue with Keaton and confuse audiences going forward, so they were just like, let's just confuse everybody and put Clooney in it, because we're not going forward with anything. So let's just have a little bit of fun with it, because Keaton's already been replaced by Kilmer and Clooney, so let's just go ahead and replace him again. And I don't think it worked out great, you know, for them.
No.
But I understood the joke, and I was just like, all right, I get it, but I didn't care.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty safe to say that the Flash fell harder than it could run.
And then the way the Flash ended,
yeah.
What are we looking at for Aquaman 2? Like, what is that? The Aquaman, the one that's face down in the water?
See, that's why I'm glad James Wan came out and was like, yeah, no, this is a standalone story set in like Aquaman and Atlantis. We're doing our own thing. We're not really trying to acknowledge the greater universe that is outside of us. We're just kind of telling a contained story where it's Black Manta coming back for revenge, and et cetera, et cetera. Like, all the things that I liked about the first Aquaman movie are clearly present in the second film, and that's largely the reason why I'm going to see the second film. Whether or not that actually captivates a general audience has remained to be seen, because as we've seen this past year, the only superhero films to really be superbly successful were Across the Spider-Verse and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And even then, in Guardians' case, it was more of an event because it was the trilogy capper. It was Gunn's last film in that franchise. And it was, you know, arguably the last time you're going to see those versions of those Guardians together on adventures. So, and then Across the Spider-Verse, that's just all spoken for a multitude of different reasons. But as for Aquaman, I could see it doing better simply because of the holiday time frame. But as we've seen over this past year, holidays don't mean fuck all anymore.
They don't mean anything anymore, you know? And I even think if they released another Star Wars movie during December, I don't think it would bring in the amount of money that 7, 8, and 9 did.
It's tough to say. It's really tough to say, right? Yeah.
Because you know, they've saturated that universe so much to the point where it's like unrecognizable for some fans. I think it's hard to go and try to build it back up, which is what they're trying to do now. I'm hoping that they've hit rock bottom and they're like, okay, we're rearranging some things, and we're gonna you know, kind of fix what we're gonna right the wrongs.
I think
that we did with that trilogy.
Time away from the box office that we've had from a Star Wars movie. It'll be 4 years next month since the last Star Wars movie had come out, right? Like Rise of Skywalker was the last big Star Wars film in theaters, and it, you know, dominated the way that it did from a financial standpoint. And then, you know, Lucasfilm was like, all right, we're going to focus on TV for a little while. Okay, cool. Yeah. But now it's starting to swell again. Like, people are like, okay, when is a new Star Wars film going to be released? Like, what is it going to be? Are we going to get from what I think it's going to be the essentially episode 10, right? It's going to be Rey doing the new Jedi Order. It's going to be that. I think that is.
Wait. What happened with the Mangold thing? I thought that was going to be next.
I don't know if that's next. I don't think they've been superbly clear on which one of the 3 films they have announced is coming first.
Because you have that.
You have Mangold's film, you have the film with Rey Skywalker, and then you have the film that Fione's doing, essentially Heir to the Empire.
I think you're getting that first.
I don't know. It really depends on whether or not they do a second season of Ahsoka.
Because with episode 10, you know, just like, you know, I mean, you know, now that you've completed the trilogy, which I think they raced through just to complete it. I think, you know, you can take a breath between, you know, trilogy chapters versus, you know, doing, you know, kind of off the coattails of Ahsoka. I don't think it's wise for them to wait and kind of let that intrigue die down and let the actors age more, because you've already lost Ray Stevenson.
Right.
So I think it would be a bad decision to put the Rey movie before the Ahsoka conclusion or whatever.
Sure.
I think logically, you know, if I'm Iger or you know, Favreau, I'm like, no, we gotta pay this off first. And
again,
then
I think that payoff really is going to be determined of whether or not they decide to do a second season of Ahsoka or not, because before the finale aired, they had retracted a tweet that said series finale and changed it with season finale. So I don't know for sure, but I feel like since they did that, there's a high possibility that Ahsoka season 2 is all said and done. They just haven't greenlit it yet because of the actor strike.
Okay.
Which is possible. But again,
or they could have just done it to open up possibilities.
Right. And, with Star Wars, I don't know if they're doing Star Wars Celebration in April. I think they do it every other April, every other year. So I don't know if we're getting a celebration this upcoming
yes,
April.
it is usually every other year. And I think Anaheim is usually their target.
They're doing it in Japan next year, actually, because it was in London this past year. So they're doing it in Japan, not 2024, but 2025.
Okay.
At least that's what I remember reading. So I don't know. It really kind of remains to be seen what's going to happen with Star Wars and like what film is next on that docket, if they even have something to go forward with. I mean, these things always change. From what we've seen shit shut down 6 weeks before it's supposed to go into filming, i.e. Blade, right? So who the fuck knows?
Yeah. It's interesting.
Anyway, going on to stuff that is announced and could potentially happen. There was also this that got announced yesterday, and that is Legend of Zelda getting a live action treatment.
Yeah.
I have. You have
that
that queued up. We'll talk about that next. But holy shit! Like, this news dropped yesterday, and at first I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, I saw it from Discussing Film, and they only had a picture. They didn't link any article. They didn't link any source. It was just like, "Oh, live action Zelda is happening with Avi Arad set to produce," and I was like, "Okay, show me a fucking
Avi Arad."
Avi Arad, yes.
So he's the one that did Hulk.
He's the one that did Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man,
Produced
Spider-Man 2. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And Venom, Morbius, all that.
Yeah.
All of that, right? That's all, Avi Arad giving himself a pat on the back, all that shit. Right. But yeah, then
I'm excited for it. I'm a huge Legend of Zelda fan. Not as big as you and Dawson. I haven't played the new games. I'm old school Legend of Zelda, Nintendo. I used to watch the cartoon and stuff when I was a kid.
That's the only time Link spoke, if I'm not mistaken.
Link
is in that cartoon. Is the only time Link has ever spoken.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. For me, this is very cautious. I'm very cautionary when it comes to this specifically, purely because number one, the big red flag for me is Avi Arad for obvious reasons pertaining to Spider-Man, but also I did see where the source came from. Nintendo announced this in a tweet thread, like in a chain, right? Like Nintendo flat out says Miyamoto has been working with Avi Arad for some time on this. They announced that Wes Ball is directing, and he's actually the most current project he has coming out is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which in my opinion looks really good. I did also see that Derek Conley is handling scripting duties, and he's kind of hit and miss because the best thing on his resume, in my humble opinion, are Kong Skull Island and Detective Pikachu. But he's also got story credit on The Rise of Skywalker. He's also done a plethora of other things where I'm like, ooh, yeah, no, thanks. Like a lot of the he's predominantly worked with Colin Trevorrow on the Jurassic World films. So Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and Dominion, he has story credits.
So then he had to have been in the mix for Rise of Skywalker with Colin Trevorrow.
Yes.
Where they had Luke as a ghost that was haunting.
More or less, Duel of the Fates. Yes, that's
that's it.
The one I do not like at all. Like that. There are very few things in that script I found.
There's some things where I was like, okay, and some things I was like, this is stupid.
So, like on a creative level, as far as the director's concerned, I'm like, yeah, all right, fine. You've been wanting to do this for a while. I'll see what you can do. The writer doesn't give me that much confidence. The producer absolutely doesn't give me any confidence whatsoever. But just it's tough because like Legend of Zelda is like one of my favorite Nintendo games of all time. One of my favorites is probably A Link to the Past. And I'm not really too big on Ocarina of Time. I know that's a lot of other people's favorite ones, but I think my big sticking point with this is unlike Mario, where you have every Mario game set predominantly in the same world and you get the gist of the same kind of game mechanics, it does the same thing, more or less. When it comes to Zelda, it's not the exact same thing every single time. They change things up. Things change. Like, it's not always Ganondorf as the main big bad. Sometimes it takes place on, Hyrule. Sometimes in like Link's Awakening, it's on a separate island. Like there are just very different things that happen with very different incarnations of Legend of Zelda, and I'm not exactly sure how you're going to be able to work in elements from each respective incarnation when they all even take place on 3 separate timelines. So it's just all very confusing to me on what version of Zelda they're going to adapt. My money is on that they're going to probably pull from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. That's my guess. Personally, I would like to see a loose adaptation of Link to the Past, but I highly doubt they're going to do that.
Well, I was hoping that it wasn't going to be live action, that it would be animated, but not animated like Super Mario Brothers. Like it would have its own sort of style. Kind of like, you know, the Spider-Verse thing, right?
Like Polar Express.
Own style. What's that?
I said no, like Polar Express.
Oh God, no, more like Tintin.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually a better example. Would be Tintin. Yeah, I'm gonna help you there.
Or Final Fantasy.
You know what? Yeah, actually, yeah, like Advent Children, Final Fantasy. Yeah, I'd prefer that, definitely.
So something different, something, you know, that you don't, you know, you could tell because of all the timeline issues and differences or whatever. You could tell stories, and you can have the same actor portray Link in different, you know, like if they were to do a movie or whatever, it doesn't have to linearly, you know, sort of connect. It could do its own thing. It's
right.
Yeah,
you know, because he is the hero of time, and he's reincarnated every so often.
And what you could do is you could kind of show these stories, take these stories and just sort of like, you know, adapt them, kind of like The Witcher, and just adapt them and say, okay, this is the Ocarina of Time. This is, you know, Link to the Past. You know, this is, you know, Link's Awakening. And then, you know, every single time you see it, it's the same character, but in a different situation, a different setting, slightly a different, you know, but, you know, keep the animation style consistent. And yeah, that could have been fun. And then you wouldn't have to worry about, like, the problem with doing Legend of Zelda live action for me is unless you've got it like Lord of the Rings, where it's these people are contractually obligated to or shoot these films back to back and make an epic saga. I don't want to see these people kind of age up and age out like, you know, like Shazam or whatever, where the kids are just getting older. You know, is Link going to be a young kid, or is it going to be an adult, or like, what are we doing here? What are we doing with Zelda? I don't know. I'm interested in this. But yeah, nobody likes Aviarad. Let's see. Why is the killer doing Zelda? I don't know. I don't know, but let's see. What is this? Hunter Schafer for Link? Who's Hunter Schafer? I'd have to look him up. I saw people want Walker Scoble as Link. Well, damn it. Let's look these guys up. I don't know who they are. This is actually kind of interesting to me. Let's see. Hunter Zolomon? No, Hunter Schafer.
Hunter Schafer for Link. She'd actually make a better Zelda. And Walker Scoble would be a decent Link, but that's only if they go with like the kid
doesn't make
route.
Any sense. All right, let's see. Walker
Scoble's the kid from the Atom Project, and he's the new Percy Jackson.
Oh. Yeah, I can see him as Link. Yeah, there you go. There's your Zelda and there's your Link.
I would prefer him to Tom Holland for sure.
Yeah. Don't cast Tom Holland in every damn thing.
Hold on, everyone. We've got another person joining. Welcome, Brad. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, man?
And was definitely not the news I was expecting to read coming out of class tonight.
Oh, I'm sure.
No, the tone of it was definitely sounding a lot more more grim and more like this was going to, and even getting this tentative agreement. I mean, it's like the phase that we're at in the year. It's like I don't see anything like actively progressing until the new year anyway. But I mean, hey, if they feel like they got everything they want out of it, you know, good on them. You know, thumbs up.
That's Brad's take on the SAG-AFTRA AMP.
Yeah. Sorry.
Being met. Oh no, you're fine. Matter of fact,
they can go back to scheduling their massages.
We can finally get Deadpool 3.
Deadpool 3. They can advertise it. They can get Hugh Jackman back in the yellow skimmies.
Yeah, I know. So I'm sure William and I on the Sci-Fi Center will be probably talking about that tonight. And now we're going to be like doing like the post-mortem now about like, okay, now the strikes are over, but like what's the after effects going to be, which I mean, what's the log jam in terms of post-production work and release stuff shifting around. But
we're not seeing anything new until at least the summer of 2020.
Oh hell no. Yeah. It's what's going to take that that opening May slot is, I wonder. That ain't gonna be Deadpool 3.
Probably Captain America.
Yeah, I've heard some people,
Captain America.
I've heard some talk that's further enough along they could swap those if they wanted to. So yeah, I totally see that.
Well, it's done with principal photography if they really wanted to, and if they have reshoots working, they're probably going to get them done as soon as possible, just so they can meet that May deadline if they push it to May.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we got the strike solved, and I'm kind of wondering like when are the details, or have those already come out about like what
no details yet. They haven't even voted on like the okay. So
yeah, because it's still tentative. They still have to ratify that. So that'll be like another
right.
And that probably won't be until like the beginning of December. But
exactly, or maybe even sometime next week. I believe is when they're apparently voting on it and ratifying it.
Yeah, well, they don't want to be doing that over Thanksgiving, I'm sure.
God no, I doubt that. They probably want to get that done as soon as possible, just so they can finally come together at Thanksgiving and be like, "Hey, we finally did it."
It'd be so funny if they go and they're like, sitting around the table eating. I don't know if I still have a job or not. I don't know.
Oh, some of these suits are probably not after this. After how much they drug their feet on AI and residuals, it's like the fact the stockholders are watching this. It's like I could see a lot of these guys hitting the road after this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100% probably. Wouldn't doubt it one bit. Let me get your opinion on the Marvels early reviews and box office. Do you have a box office prediction for the Marvels?
Do I have one right now, like on me or what?
I mean, just in general.
Because I have been reading a lot of that in terms of the box office projection, which that is. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to do as well as the first one because the first one just had the advantage of being situated between Infinity War and Endgame. But even with that, it's like, I don't know, some of these that I've seen. I mean, there's one that's like 43. I don't know. That seems on the low end to me. I don't know if I'm ready to go like that doom and gloom on it yet. But jury's still out on, I guess we'll see what happens. But as far as like the early reviews, I mean, I wasn't a fan of the first Captain Marvel. I thought it was the blandest MCU movie they've ever done, and but it's like I'm open to being surprised with the sequel. I've heard, I mean, a lot of the thing that's really standing out to me as far as the reactions have gone is Iman Vellani's really been singled out for a lot of praise, and I think that really comes across like in her performance of Miss Marvel and in what we've seen of the marketing. She does, a lot of them have described her as like she's like a fangirl, like who got her dream come true to be part of this franchise that's so near and dear to her. So I'm really really rooting for her on that. And other but as far as the mixed response to it, there is a part of me where I'm not going to lie that I have no doubt a lot of other DC fans are doing this. We're kind of pulling up that gif of Apu and the Simpsons going, "Ha! Now you know how it feels."
I mean, I've seen projections of this film landing somewhere between 50 and 65 million. Ryan's on the 50 million, and I'm on, like, if it gets as high as it could, I think the highest it probably will reach is 65 million opening weekend domestic.
I don't think it'll have legs. Even with the holiday weekend coming up and all that, I think you'll get a little bit of a push. Just people want to get out of the house and want to get away from their families and stuff. But I don't think it's really going to bank on that.
The thing about it is like looking over like this whole calendar year. I mean, this has been, in terms of like theatrical releases, this has been a really shitty year in terms of like the box office, because we have had, and it's like, I mean, a lot of people kind of single out superhero movies on that, but I mean, just look at the totality of it. I mean, we've had a handful of mega hits, we've had some moderate ones, and other than that, it's just been a ton of either underperformers or outright bombs. So, and I really attribute. Yeah, Mission Impossible, exactly.
Mission Impossible, it underperformed specifically because it released, a week or so before Barbenheimer. That is arguably the only reason it probably underperformed. Had it been released earlier, it probably would have fared better.
Yeah.
So that's just my take on that.
Well, and that surprised me too, because I mean, I would have thought like it would really, Tom Cruise would have rode the wave coming off of Top Gun Maverick with that, and also with the previous Mission Impossible. But yeah, I think also it's like, you can't overlook like just the long-term impact of what COVID has done in terms of like movie going. I mean, COVID not only taught people how to stream, it taught them how to wait to stream.
Yes, agreed, 100%. Yep.
So
yeah, it basically got them sort of trained to be able to wait for a street date versus, you know, going and seeing it in the theater or whatever, dealing with, you know, lines or choosing seats and you know, going and paying overpriced, you know, Cokes and all that kind of shit when you can just buy it from, you know, the local store and do it for you, you know, do it yourself on the cheap, not have anybody kicking your couch because, you know, it's, you know, you're not in a theater with, you know, with other kids kicking seats and shit. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's, it really has, and the availability of upgrading your theater, you know, theater room is a lot of people today, you know, that's sort of the centric, like, you know, long ago are the days where, you know, families would sit down at a dinner table. Most people don't have a fucking dinner table in their house now. You know, they have TV trays and the TV trays are in front of the TV.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's, you know, we as a culture have been slowly migrating and training ourselves, our kids, you know, I mean, that's, you know, either you're watching, you know, movies or you're playing video games and your food is right there. And it's like, why do I want to go to an establishment and have that same experience when my speaker, my surround sound, my sound bar is adequate for me, for my family?
Yeah, I mean, the home experience. I mean, in terms of like flat screens, it's definitely got a lot. It's gotten a lot better to approximating the theatrical experience in a home setting. But you know, I'll ask you, you know, both your takes on this because, you know, within the last year, so we're within the time since COVID began. You know, I've really been noticing, you know, whenever I've gone to my theater, just the parking lot just doesn't fill up like it used to, other than for something like Barbenheimer, which then it was swamped then, but you know, otherwise, even for things that were, you know, anticipated, even things that were big hits, like when Guardians 3 or Across the Spider-Verse, which did really well, but even then, it's like it just wasn't packed like it used to be, like you know, as recently as 2019, and you know, just going back to what I said, like COVID taught people to wait to stream, and we're really seeing that being borne out with the general box office trends of this year.
You know, to be honest with you, I think Guardians, despite the amount of money it made, when I saw it, the theater wasn't full. The only time this year where the theater was actually full for
was
me,
Barbenheimer.
as far as it wasn't even Barbenheimer. Well, Oppenheimer was pretty full, yeah. But honestly, of the superhero films that I saw in the theater, that the only time it was full, Across the Spider-Verse. That was literally the only time this year where the theater was full.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty packed for me too. And like the other than that, like the last time I can remember, you know, like a really packed house, like really for anything, not just CBMs. Before that, really was Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Yeah,
and that's why I think, like, you know, Zelda, the Legend of Zelda movie being live action would do better if it were an animated or manga, you know, kind of.
It's gonna have
because you've already got all these, you know, you got The Witcher, you've got the new Lord of the Rings stuff that Warner Brothers and Amazon are trying to do. You've already got stuff like that. So what is it going to be that's really going to stand out, other than just releasing a, you know, top-notch game this year? Like, what's the draw to get people out to the theater again, like they did for Super Mario Brothers?
Well, I'll tell you what the draw is for Zelda. It's having the guiding hand of Avi Arad on that.
That name. That name. If there is a precursor to Jeff Johns, it's Avi Arad.
I was about to ask the question. It's like, how, like, would you say he's like Marvel's equivalent to Jeff Johns in terms of like producers who are?
I mean, he kind of set the bar for people like Jeff Johns, and you know, honestly, he kind of reminds me of the Salkins in certain respects too.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because I mean, he essentially got all his creative control in Spider-Man 3. Like, he's the one who shoehorned Venom into that movie. You know,
he is the reason Venom is in it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the reason Venom's in that. He's the reason why Amazing 2 set up as much as it did in terms of like Sinister Six, Gwen dying, all that bunch of bullshit. Like there's that. And then you look at like Morbius and you look at like branching shit out from that. And even the Venom films, which I do enjoy to some varying degrees. Like, I enjoy both of them. The first one more than Let There Be Carnage, which is sad because Carnage is like one of my favorite symbiotes ever created of all time. But I just feel that man has far too much creative control. And I really hope that Miyamoto is like, yeah, no, this is my baby. You just give me the money to make the fucking thing. That's really what I want it to be.
I could foresee him putting his foot down like that, especially with the kind of the checkered history of Avi Arad as a producer.
Yeah. And it sucks
like
because like
good
because that dude's name is on like the Spider-Man animated TV show. He's obviously a big proponent in the current Sony Marvel universe, and it's like, well, how much control does he really have? That's really the question now. Is like, how much control does he have? Because he was also part of the reason why Marvel Studios became what it was, because he did financially back it way back when in 2008 to be a co-thing with Paramount.
Well,
and
it's just like what having Saban or Saban, how do you say his name?
Haim Saban.
On all the Power Ranger stuff, it's just like having the name was like, oh yeah, no, it's gonna be good, or having the Salkinds on the Superman titles, they were just like, yeah, no.
Was he also on VR Troopers, by the way? Haim Saban, I think he was.
I think so. I want to say yes, but I'm not 100% on that. He might have done Beetleborg too.
Yeah, because I didn't follow. Well, I did follow Beetleborgs fairly closely because Power Rangers was such a close thing to my heart. Then I saw VR Troopers here and there when I was little, but I mean I didn't follow it nearly as closely as I did Power Rangers. But that was also a Saban TV show.
Mm.
So, but now one upside that there are many upsides, of course, of the strikes ending, but like one immediate one is that I was gonna hate it for him as far as Jason Momoa and the Rebel Moon cast if they were not going to be able to do press on that. So fortunately, it seems that door is now going to be open to them to do that.
Yeah, now they're going to be able to talk about Wonka in public.
Aquaman's going to get promotion.
Aquaman's going to get promotion.
Jason Momoa, he's supposed to be on Saturday Night Live, I think, pretty soon too.
Oh wow!
Which that would have been really weird for him to be going on SNL when he's got a big movie coming up and he not being able to talk about that.
They would have done things like to allude to it or whatever.
Yeah, they would have said they would have made jokes like,
it would have been tongue in cheek.
They would have said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna make like fish jokes or something."
Yeah.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, he'd be classified as a fish fucker again, just like he was in Peacemaker.
Come on, man.
Okay, now that you mentioned that, I'm going to bring up the fact that now that the strikes are over, just wait. Within the coming weeks, James Gunn is going to start going full on announcing cast for Superman Legacy. Like, we are probably going to find out who's playing Lex Luthor. We're probably going to find out who the big villain is. We're probably going to see the rest of this cast fill out for this movie because that film is slated to start.
It'll be closer to the release of Aquaman to
probably
kind of build or bolster the hype for DC stuff.
Probably,
yeah.
Well, but I don't see him making. I get that was his original intent that he wanted to start filming that in January. I just don't see that happening now because of the impact of strike, and it sure as hell ain't making that July 2025 date.
Oh man, these people, they make fucking deals under the counter, just handshake deals and shit like that. So yeah, I mean they could be doing things like, okay, hey, on this date we're ready to go. As far as all the chips are in place, we'll definitely get that off the ground.
You can go for it, but like us OG, DC on film fans. I mean, we lived through Mustache Gate, so I mean, if you want to roll the dice on going through that again with your Superman movie, by all means, just don't say we didn't warn you.
Well, that's just it, right? Like he announced who's playing Superman, who's playing Lois Lane, who's playing the Green Lantern, who's playing Hawkgirl, who's playing Metamorpho, and of course Mr. Terrific. So like he has his cast lined up. They couldn't say jack shit for the last few months because of the strike, but now that the strike is tentatively over, bet your donuts to dollars that when January rolls around, they're probably going to go full steam ahead on.
They're probably going to like fast track, like get your asses over to London.
Probably going to be fast track. You're right,
and get that shit going. We need the money.
Yeah. If anything, they are going to fucking fast track Superman Legacy now that this shit is over. I promise you that.
Yeah, but
Superman will most likely film this year. What?
Oh God, he's not.
What?
There's no way in hell it's filming this year.
No, it won't film this year. January would be the closest you're gonna get.
Yeah, James Gunn has outright said they are supposed to start filming in January, and I thought had this strike would have continued into the end of the year, that would have been pushed back. Now that this is over in the beginning of November, I can see it getting it. I can see that schedule just going according
right
to plan.
Because once you've released the the Aquaman 2, you want to go ahead and kind of shift focus to the future, to to what's coming, and what better to do that than behind the scenes shit.
And not only that, he also just came out and said that Creature Command is for sure coming out next year too.
Yeah, he hasn't give like a hard date on that, but just sometime next year is when he is.
I mean, because other than that, the only thing he has in the can is with that Creature Commandos that nobody cares about.
I just said that. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't.
No, you're good.
I was like,
I'm guessing summer 2024. That's my guess for Creature Commandos.
I could foresee that. Yeah,
that's my guess
because it's animated, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it a one shot or is it a series?
It's a series, 7 episodes. On top of that, he said that all the voicing and all the recording, all of that shit has been done for a while. So that doesn't at all shock me.
And even if it hadn't been, I mean, like voice acting, I mean, they're usually, actors will only be, in there for like a day or two to, voice the roles. They could, that's something they could, get, if they still had to do that, they would have.
A lot of them set up, just like Ray Porter and the like, they've set up booths at their homes.
Yeah,
True.
yeah.
And
because of COVID,
access, they can submit their files to the to the mixers, and they can do the ADR work, and that has nothing to do with the strike. It was an agreement before any of that went down. They already have contracts, they're already contracted to do it, and and
this was all done even before the writer strike happened too. So
yeah. I'm not terribly Creature. It's not terribly. Like a huge thing on my calendar, but I am curious, like what Frank Grillo is gonna bring to it as far as work for I did actually get to interview him about 2 years ago. He's a real he's a nice
guy. He seems like
a nice guy. Not just that, but also he's very New York. Like we
that makes sense.
We get on the Zoom call, whatever it was, and like the first thing he says to me, seeing me on screen for the very first time in my life, he calls me, "Hey, buddy." So it's like, and
nice.
Yeah. Well, not only that, also because this is something my mother told me actually after I had interviewed him, because had him seeing the. She was suggesting what it was that are you guys familiar with the Skyline franchise at all?
No.
Which franchise?
What is that?
The Skyline.
No.
Okay, Skyline. Well, it's like Beyond Skyline is probably like the the most immediately recognized one, where it's alien invasion, and it's got some guys from the Raid movies in it.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. Now it's ringing a bell. Yeah.
Yeah, and Frank Grillo, he's one of the leading guys in Beyond Skyline, and I interviewed him for that when it came out originally in 2017, and the director, Mr. Liam O'Donnell. Liam, if you're watching, how's it going, man? Interviewed him for that, and gotten a poster from him, gotten his autograph for that. It's and I had that. It was positioned over my bed, and my computer was parallel to my bed, so Frank couldn't see that when I talked to him. And I told my mom about that later on. She said, you should have moved that poster, because then he would have seen that right behind you while you were talking to him. I was like, fuck, why didn't I think of
that? Next time.
Yeah.
There's always next time. Always next time. Hey,
Creature Commandos,
if you get lucky, talk to him about Creature Commandos when that, debuts and whatnot. I mean, it's funny because I put out a tweet saying whoever announced it, they announced it was going to be 7 episodes, 22 minutes, and I was just like, I just don't care.
Yeah,
in the sense that I don't give a fuck how long it is. I don't give a fuck necessarily about this team. Show me what it actually is before I start to give a fuck about it. Yeah. And people ran fucking wild. They're like, oh, you're a James Gunn hater. Oh, you're just trying to fucking stir up some shit. Oh, you're fucking just hating on the DCU before it even exists. No, that's not it at all. But if you want to fucking throw a pitchfork my way, I'll just catch it and throw it back at you, Chief. That's just the way I like to roll.
I saw that. That's it was the Snyder Bro label getting thrown at you. Which, I mean, listen. I'm sorry, but people got to accept the fact that a substantial portion of the DC fan base is still dealing with a lot of heartbreak over how this has all gone down.
Right.
And it's not going to go away overnight. It's not going to go away in the next 2-3 years, if that.
I think the thing that really pisses off that portion of DC fandom is the fact that this is exactly what we wanted from that universe, and the fact we're not getting it with that universe is just adding to the heartbreak even more. Sure. Right. Yeah. And it's as DC fans, I'm not saying we have to be open-minded. I'm choosing to be open-minded, but at the same time, there is just this, okay, you're showing me a TV show about characters I know almost nothing about. Give me a reason to give a shit, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of my take on Creature Commandos at this point. Once I see some animation from it, once I see a trailer, once I see anything at all outside of the one fucking still that keeps going, give me context. That is what I'm asking for. But up until that point, I just don't care.
Don't care. You see Frankenstein's monster? Don't care. I think I think
Which
the
I
Bride of
didn't realize
Frankenstein's in that shit. I don't care. Weasel's in it. I don't care.
I
Yeah,
must have
Weasel's being
forgotten
interesting.
somehow. I didn't realize also that David Harbour, he was in the first Suicide Squad. I must
Rick
admit.
Flag's
Yes.
father's in it. I don't care.
Well, because let me tell you something. If you haven't seen,
That's a heartbreaker for me because, like, you know, my whole deal with Rick Flag is like, you killed Rick Flag in the Suicide Squad, so give me a reason to give a shit. Like, nothing against Frank Grillo, obviously, but like,
oh yeah,
you killed my favorite version of Rick Flag. I'm still kind of jaded about that.
Look, it's not like they, gave you an X-ray, sort of look at his heart being punctured by a sharp object.
like Romeo Must Die.
Yeah, I know. It's like, so you're telling me there's no way he can come back?
None.
Like,
whatsoever.
no, he can come back as RoboCop.
No, listen.
Oh
listen,
my God.
David Harbour is. Listen, guys. Also, let me just a slight tangent.
He's in
Harbour,
Suicide Squad.
But not only that, also he as of last year, he became probably one of my favorite movie Santas with Violent Night.
Oh, I still need to watch that.
Oh,
I've
that's
heard nothing but great things about that.
Yeah, that kicks ass. It's basically Die Hard with Santa.
Okay, you just fucking sold me on that movie just by that description alone. Die Hard
Rad.
with Santa, sign me the fuck up. Yes,
My work is done
please.
here.
Fuck yeah, I know what I'm watching later tonight. Hold on, we got a couple chats
perfect time
coming
of
in.
year.
Well, from the group chat, they want general audience at this point. They've been trying to appeal to DC fans from 2016 to 2021. They want casual and general audience norms to buy and becoming new DC. Sure, that's totally plausible, RJ. 100%. Like after the Snyder Cut, they absolutely fumbled the fucking ball with DC fans. That's 100% true.
Well,
I mean, it's the same thing with Star Wars. They wanted the general audience. They didn't want the built-in Star Wars audience that you've had for years and years. They were like, no, fuck that. We want more money. We want the general audience. Let's get, let's appeal to
it's
other groups.
It's something I'm actually gonna I got a fairly lengthy thing I'm gonna post on Twitter on November 17th, which, as we all know, is a very important day in this fandom.
Yes, because that is also the day that the DC United show is hopefully going to drop. Well, not drop, but that's the first date for the first stream. That's the plan. Which But
like one thing I want, just clear my throat there. Sorry. One thing I plan to say in that also is like, I mean, I just can never get my head around the fact that it's like the response they got of the 1.5 million tweets saying give us more of that, and they just said fuck off. It's like, how do you get that kind of second chance just gift wrapped and handed to you on a silver platter like that, and you turn it away?
Poor leadership. Yeah. That's really what it boils down to.
To put it delicately, yeah. Yes,
and
yes,
look,
it's freaking awesome.
And look, I'll even like give James Gunn the benefit of the doubt. He was not wrong when he said that the DC IP was minted poorly in terms of being segregated into, this version of TV or this version in a film or this, that, and the other thing. Like he said that the IP was not mined properly. And I can absolutely understand and even respect that.
Sure.
It's just like, as a fan of what has been done before, the fact that he's also still kind of cherry picking characters of which he's worked with, which is totally within his creative control to do. It's still just for me, I'm looking at it like, okay, I get it. It's not exactly pleasing, but I get it. But then you have a lot of the other rabid fans who are like, oh no, fuck you. You're just doing your own thing. You just being egotistical, blah, 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 blah. Fuck James Gunn. And it's like, that's a little extreme in my personal opinion. But at the same time, there are level-headed fans who are looking at that like, yeah, I can't really get behind this because of so many other false promises from the past. And I get it. I 100% get it.
That's the thing. William and I on Sci-Fi Center, we really try to bring a lot of level-headed discussion to this with, as I'm sure everybody's who's followed this has seen, where it's like, and I mean, just check out our streams if you haven't, because it's like we go into this topic a lot, and I think it really speaks for itself what we've done. But I hope we come across as some of the more kind of fans on a discussion of all this.
Well, even on like Marvel side of things, like Marvel Studios has finally received a humbling that people on the DC side have been clamoring for at least the last 5, 6, maybe if not longer. Like people have been clamoring for Marvel to get humbled for a long while, simply because of the fact that they've been churning out less than quality productions for the last few years, right? And now it's finally happening, and Marvel fans are having a straight up hiss fit about it. And it's like, well, you guys poke the bear for the last 10 fucking years. How does it feel?
what goes
it
around
must
comes
suck,
around.
doesn't it? What goes around comes around. Exactly right, Brad. And it's just like, it sucks, doesn't it? It really sucks having hit pieces put out about your favorite fucking studio, doesn't it? It really sucks having actors you like being talked about in a negative light for their actions, be it evil or otherwise. It fucking sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah. And well, especially the big one now, of course, we all have our, feelings towards that particular journalist on that latest kind of article on the state of affairs of Marvel.
You mean the one who fails to check her sources almost every single time? Yeah.
but the one thing that did really that I think carried the most weight in that in terms of you can just see like the tea leaves of it is what was reported about Blade, which is, I mean, I don't think it's very deniable at this point that Blade is in production hell. I mean, there's just no way around that. Yeah. No, it's their Flash.
New Flash. It's their Flash, 100%. And the thing is like, if you think about the way that Kevin Feige operates, I'm not exactly convinced that Blade was even a part of the plan for Phase 4, 5, or 6. Because let's remember, Mahershala Ali went to Kevin Feige and was like, yo, I want to be Blade. And Kevin Feige at that point goes, well, when Mahershala Ali fucking calls you, you answer that call, right? So now it's up to him and his team at Marvel to be like, okay, how the fuck do we fit Blade into our big multiverse plan? And it's like, no, you guys have done this before. This should be fucking cake for you. And the fact you can't do it, that is astonishing. That is astonishing to me that they've been through 2 directors, 2 handfuls of writers at this point. And it's just like,
it's not like they're trying to make him a 5th character.
Yes, that it's they were within, or what was it like? They were within.
It was a supporting character in his own film.
Like, here's the thing:
they were within 6 weeks of filming or something.
That has been partially debunked because one of the writers who did an earlier draft at one point was like, "Yeah, no, I've worked on a draft of this movie, and every draft I saw prior to this, mind you, this was before the writer's strike happened, so it could have, and even then, even if a draft happened, which it couldn't have during the writer's strike." If he had not seen a draft, then it might not have even existed. So the fact of the matter is that portion of that to me just feels like Tatiana Segal just throwing flame on the fire, her own kind of gasoline at that point. I don't at all believe that there's a version of the script in which Blade was relegated to a 4th lead. I think that's bullshit, personally.
Do you think that they would do Blade like they did that werewolf thing?
Werewolf by Night. I feel like that would have been a great point to introduce him in, as opposed to Eternals.
Right.
His voice came in on Eternals. Yeah. No, if there is a draft of that where like Blade is like the 4th lead, it's like okay, I don't know. It's like I throw the script in your face that if you're presenting that to me, it's like how is the MCU intro solo movie of Blade is something where he's a supporting character in it? It's like how did you get this job if that's your baseline for it?
Honestly, I think there's some truth to Mahershala Ali walking away from script issues, but I think the script in question that he almost walked away from was what we've heard about earlier, in that the film was only going to be an hour and a half long and there were at best 2 action sequences. I think there might be some truth to that, but I don't at all buy the fact that there was a version of the script where he was the 4th lead in the movie called Blade. I think that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
And if it's true, it's still bullshit for other reasons.
Yeah,
exactly.
They replaced the blood with like tassels, like red tassels. Like, okay.
Or they pull a like Morbius from Spider-Man the animated series, and it's not blood they're after; they're going for fucking plasma.
Well, that was my intro to Blade and Morbius was Spider-Man. So I'm very proud of the fact that I knew who Blade was.
Or they do what Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, so because if the 98 Blade, like if you knew who Blade was before seeing that, I mean, those were the diehards of the diehards. And it's like, I knew that because I'd seen him on Spider-Man animated series. So, and I tweeted this out when like all this reporting, that portion of it relating to Blade came out. And I used the clip of the first fight scene in the Vampire Rave and the original one. And I said, I got your solution to your problem right here. Just give us 2 hours of that. And that's it. Okay.
That's really it.
Yeah. They had me until Ryan Reynolds.
Don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fucking fix it, right? Like, why is that so hard? And the thing is like, when I think about Blade and I think about bringing him in the MCU, and now that we've got something like Echo that's going to be TVMA, it's pretty much all confirmed that Deadpool 3 is also going to be rated R. And now we have the current director of Blade going, yes, my movie is going to be rated R. Fucking okay. Stick to that gun, because when you have fans who have been invested in the MCU for, say, as long as me, Brad, whoever else in the last 10, 15 years who've literally grown up, so to speak, because the first Iron Man movie came out in 2008. I was 16, but you have kids younger than us. Like, for example, I know RJ is a lot younger than me. I'm not going to, put his age out there, but RJ is significantly younger than me. He's literally someone who has grown up with the MCU now as an adult. We would like to see more stuff that is catered to us and our sensibilities as an adult, because not everything has to be a fucking joke. That's where I'm at with Blade, personally.
Yeah. No, they're going to turn they're going to more Love and Thunder.
Because he's a daywalker, do you think he'll glitter?
No.
Oh, God. Come on.
No. I think Dave actually put it best. Like, some motherfuckers are trying to ice skate uphill in terms of doing that script. That's really kind of what it boils down to.
I could see that.
RJ even says it right here. Like, he was 9 when Iron Man hit theaters. Okay.
Oh, well, there
I was 16. So there's the age gap between the two of us for anyone who knows my age, right? But yeah, like,
I could see them. I could see them dropping some Twilight jokes though, where he could. Somebody maybe like Blade has like the equivalent of Karen Jensen in this he runs into when she is kind of asking about he's giving her the rundown on vampires and she says, "Oh, so they sparkle, right?" And he's like, "Fuck no, where did you get that idea?"
Yeah, there you go.
I could see Mahershala Ali to learn that line. Like, fuck no, they don't sparkle. Hell yeah,
I got your sparkle.
But no, seriously, Blade should be one of the easiest fucking things to do on film. Seriously, like the concept is not that hard.
Well,
Daywalker, vampires, blood and gore. It's not that hard.
I mean, you've seen how many countless vampire movies? The last horrible one was with Jamie Foxx. That was just
oh
my God.
Day Shift. No, I like that. Yeah, I like Day Shift. I love Day. Well, part of
that was the most ridiculous, redonkulous thing.
Part of the reason I like this so much is it's got my guy Scott Adkins in it, but.
Okay, so there's bias. So no, I'm just judging it off of just.
You know what's funny? I actually just watched John Wick Chapter 4 for the first time a couple days ago. Fucking phenomenal movie. Scott Adkins is prime in that.
Oh yeah, no, John Wick is great.
John Wick's fantastic.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they should bring back Keanu Reeves to play Dracula in Blade. That would be fucking awesome.
Oh, that'd
be sick.
Oh yeah.
That'd be fucking dope.
That would be something.
He'd have to have a beard.
I don't give a fuck.
Because without his beard, he looks so bad.
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what he looks like. Just make him Dracula.
Keanu does not age like the rest of us. Come on.
No. But did you see him in Bill and Ted? He looked bad. That was bad.
I still haven't seen Bill and Ted 3.
Nah, he looked fine to me, man.
Still haven't seen Bill and Ted 3.
Yeah, no, he did not. He ages well, but when he took that beard off, I was like, oh shit. That's why they left it on in the Matrix movie.
I like that Matrix movie.
I like the first part
quite a bit. Oh, that's you.
I like it, but I get where people are coming from when they say they kind of had
I can kind of understand it, but at the same time,
first part because it was a cool concept.
Than most, I don't know.
It was a cool concept, like, oh, it's a video game. Oh shit, you've been trapped in this video game for so long or whatever. But then the second part was like, okay, that's Matrix 2, 3 or part 1, 2, and 3, all in the fucking third act.
This is my guy Seek right here, just laying it out. Story-wise, Blade is easy. The trick will be to film it with style and great fight scenes. Do that and it'll rock. 100%, buddy. Amen to that. We talked about this yesterday on your stream, the Venom vlog on Twitch. So yes, 100%.
To that point about great. That's what you mentioned about the one rumor about the script having only 2 action scenes in it. It's like that's been one of the sticking points for me. It's like look back at forget Trinity, okay, but look back at the first 2. It's like
Trinity's shit.
Trinity.
Look back.
Thanks,
at the
David Goyer.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
yeah, exactly.
We'll just let sleeping dogs lie on that one. But look back at the first 2. It's like, I mean, and the point I've always made, it's like that's what. Yeah, those were the 2.
I think part 2 is better than part 1.
Well, the part of the reason why they work so well as they do is because those first 2, they're Hong Kong action movies with vampires. That's what they are. Yes. And so 100%. So I'm not saying it's like you have to do a copy and paste of the Wesley Snipes movies, but there are some that there are.
It's a template. About
when you have that facet of or that side of it, that's like that should be your baseline. Like this is the kind of. This is the ass kicking we expect a Blade. This is the sword slashing we expect a Blade, because the precedent's been set for that. How do you write a script that has 2 lackluster action scenes in it that runs an hour and a half, and you say, "Yeah, we got a movie now"?
And here's the ironic part. Here's the ironic part, right? Like, we know full well that Marvel is actually capable of doing solid action sequences. Look at fucking Winter Soldier. Look at the action in Black Widow. Like, we know damn good and well, Shang-Chi. Like, they can fucking do it. And the fact that they had a script with Blade with 2 fucking action sequences is like, what the fuck? What are you doing?
I mean, like, but even having a template, because look at Hellboy. The Hellboy and Hellboy 2 were good for their time.
And here's the thing.
And then you had the next one that came out that was like
the tie between those 3, like Blade 2, Hellboy, and Hellboy Golden Army, Guillermo del Toro.
Yes.
There's the tie that binds. There you go. Sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
No, but all I was making a reference to was that if you look at the reboot of that franchise, the reason why it didn't do well is because they tried to reinvent it and do their own thing, and it just didn't resonate with people. Didn't really
not at all the fault of David Harbour. David Harbour did the best.
Oh, he was the best. It's kind of like he was sort of like Brandon Routh as Superman. Like I think Brandon Routh as Superman is amazing. Horrible script, horrible story, horrible Lois Lane. Just he had nothing going for him in that movie. But he's a fantastic Superman.
Speaking of Brandon Routh, because I try to bring this up to cement the fact that I'm not strictly a Snyderverse guy, or I'm someone who is strictly hung up on wanting to see the story completed. But as far as like the concept of Elseworlds and multiverse, after Crisis on Infinite Earths, I still want to see more Routh Superman. It's like I want them to do like a Max mini series or something to that effect, where it's like, give us like
it'd be nice to see him come back
with him.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Not gonna lie,
he was my favorite character on Crisis. He was my favorite character on Crisis, was Brandon Routh Superman.
Well, yeah, he was everybody's favorite character. I don't think anybody liked any of the other characters other than Grant Gustin. I'm sorry, but yeah, I don't. I mean, dude, Brandon Routh, he nails it as the character, but the thing is that he just didn't get a fair shake because he had a crap story, and the director really didn't care because he was more interested in getting Logan's run.
Gotta be honest though, I did like the actor they got for the Monitor character. I actually thought that was actually really well done, personally. The Monitor, yeah.
In Crisis,
the Monitor plays a huge part in Crisis. Yes.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. No,
I think you were talking about Superman Returns still.
That's what I was like. Monitor.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no. When it comes to Crisis, like that was probably some of the best things about it. I mean, the main cast aside, right? Because there were a lot of solid performances there. I mean, Melissa Benoist is arguably the Supergirl for an entire generation of people, right? You know, and then you've got Grant Gustin, who again, Flash for a large generation of people, right? Then you got Brandon Routh, who comes back in a legacy casting, even after being Ray Palmer in the Arrowverse, and they bring him back in an alternate universe. Alternate universe being Crisis, but he comes back as fucking Superman, and it's like Kingdom Come Superman. It's like, why the fuck isn't this a Max series? Yeah, that should have been ordered after Crisis immediately, and it wasn't. Definitely. They just sat on it. Definitely. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, just the management at the studio has been.
And then where the fuck was he in the Flash?
Grant? You talking about Grant Gustin?
No.
No, you're right. Where was Grant Gustin and where was Brandon Routh in the Flash?
Yeah.
Nowhere to be seen.
Well, that was the thing that was the thing I always kind of said, because I didn't have a problem with the Christopher Reeve, the CGI.
I didn't have a problem with it. But the thing I did have a problem with was that you're in a Flash movie, but you're only looking at Batman and Superman alternates.
Well, but the thing about it for me was that, as far as Christopher Reeve went, was that I just kind of felt to me like it's like Routh is meant to be like the contemporary continuation of Christopher Reeve, so it's kind of like, if you're going to bring that Superman back, I mean, why didn't you just call it Brandon Routh? Which again, it wasn't. But
they could have just had him as Kingdom Come Superman.
Yeah.
But even then, it would have been,
and people would have, that would have been better than the pseudo looking Nicolas Cage fighting a spider.
Oh, I don't care what anybody says. I love that cameo. That was my favorite one of the cameos in the Corona Pulse sequence.
Only because you know about Kevin Smith's movie and what happened with Wild Wild West.
No.
That's the only reason why people like it, is because they know Superman Forever. That was going to happen.
Superman Lives.
Oh, Lives.
Superman Lives.
There was another one.
That actually got a pretty good react in my theater when the Nick Cage Superman showed up. There were people that were doing like, oh yeah, because they were thinking like, oh yeah, we know the history behind that.
Yes.
I think
But I mean, you would have got the same or similar
was that
reaction.
the only time people in our theater actually like clapped was when Nicolas Cage showed up? I think that was like one of the few times people actually clapped.
I clapped because I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Because I mean, again, I knew what happened, and how
by the way,
they moved the spider over to Will Smith's movie,
and which, by the way, Will Smith did Wild Wild West in lieu of taking Neo for The Matrix, which is like,
yes.
Oh man, it's like you talk about like regretting a career move.
Ironically enough, I used to watch Wild Wild West a lot when I was growing up. Ironically enough, thanks, John Peters.
I haven't seen the show actually myself, but it's apparently it's a pretty the movie is apparently a pretty loose adaptation.
Yes, more or less.
Sure.
So it doesn't have a giant spider in it, right? Okay.
It has a giant mechanical spider in it. Yes.
In the show?
In the movie.
No, in the movie. Yeah, the movie.
No,
I'm talking
about. Oh, in the show, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I honestly couldn't tell you. No, I couldn't tell you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's shift focus real quick.
Yeah, let's shift focus to what you've had pulled up for like over
forever. So this just came out today, and we can definitely watch the trailer.
Well, good, because this is also good because this actually because I saw it in Atlanta today, but I haven't actually watched the trailer yet. So this is gonna be my
even watch it. Okay. I don't think we can
first time reaction.
I don't think we can use the audio. I don't think we can. I'm not sure. I was gonna do it without audio.
I would mute the audio just to be safe.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. Present, share screen. Here we go. All right, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and play it. And Cruel Summer is the song playing in the background by Bananarama. So here we are in New York.
Okay.
And I like it. It looks very Jaws.
Yeah. Yes, this is Coney Island. I've never been to New York. I've seen it once outside of an airplane window.
The most recent time I've seen Coney Island is in Spider-Man 2 because it actually plays a pivotal plot point in that game.
Yeah.
So here comes a storm.
This does feel very Jaws now that you mention it.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Well, now it's going from Jaws to Deep Impact.
Okay, so we're all collectively assuming that Mr. Freeze is the villain of this movie.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, everybody freeze. This is going to be Schwarzenegger's comeback role.
The Iceman cometh.
And what's funny is like all these spikes are coming out of the ground, but nobody has them through their body.
And there's the firehouse.
Yeah.
The iconic firehouse, right? And
that is not Ernie Hudson driving.
No, I think it's probably the older brother, if I had to guess.
He's
okay,
actually
I really love
the original theme.
I love that Grace McKenna looks so much like Egon. I really do like that.
I do too. Yeah, I dug that too.
Dan Aykroyd, love it. Love Ernie Hudson.
Seriously.
Okay, Bill Murray.
Yeah. I didn't like the line. It looked too fake. Oh,
I'm actually very intrigued by the ghost in this film and the threat that it presents. It's very intriguing to me. I think that they did this very smartly. And fucking Patton Oswalt. I love that he's in this movie for absolutely zero fucking reason at all. Frozen Empire. That's a great title. Not gonna lie. I actually really like that title.
That looks very cool.
And look at Paul Rudd's face.
I'm not. I love it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
There you go. So let's just jump around here.
When is that supposed to be out, or does it have a date?
Did it say?
They said
coming
spring.
soon.
Yeah, but earlier in the trailer it says coming next spring. So I'd wager sometime in like March or April.
You would think with Frozen Empire you'd want to release it in the winter.
I think it was actually initially supposed to come out in December, but they pushed it forward because of the strikes.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing that too. Oh, Droga says, "Is this the Meg?" I think right at the beginning of that the trailer.
No, this looks far more entertaining than either of the Meg movies, personally.
This right here, the shot reminds me of the Joker, but it looks everything around it like he's wearing Crocs. It's all modern, right?
I mean, honestly, this kind of reminds me of Hey Arnold. If I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
this gives me very Hey Arnold vibes, which, given half the cast is teenagers, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
So not much going on to talk about because it's basically just
this is a team. There's really not much to infer on, right?
Yeah, just we get the gist of just the ocean gets frozen and New York is under an ice attack and it's up to the Ghostbusters
in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
Although I do like that Coney Island is going to be a set piece in this, but that could also just be because I just saw it in Spider-Man 2. So
this spring, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that the same guy that was No, that was what's his face who played what's his name? Oh my god, I'm blanking on his name, but he was in the last movie, and he was he's in Invincible. He was Gordon in J.K. Simmons. Remember he played that character Ivan Shandor. I was like, wait, man, maybe that's him, but this looks more like Colonel Sanders.
By the way, so it kind of slight divergence here. You just mentioned J.K. Simmons. What is that movie with that Christmas movie with The Rock and red one? It's like we haven't gotten a date on
the big red one. Yeah,
because
isn't that a Netflix movie?
It's an Amazon movie, and that's
okay. I thought it was Netflix.
Simmons is supposed to be Santa, and that it's like I would think they want to have it out this time of year.
So is this right here? Is this taking place back in time? Because this guy, look at this dude's mustache, and he's got kind of a frontiersman hat on.
It's quite possible. Yeah, it could be possible that this is the history.
Yeah, this is something that has happened before.
Yeah, quite possible. Carrie Coon. I find it really funny that Ant-Man and Proxima Midnight are teaming up in this movie because she plays Proxima Midnight in Infinity War.
So they kidnapped their friend and brought him back to New York.
Who knows? It could just be like a summer trip. Honestly, I don't really know the context of why the Egon family is going back to New York. But it could just be like a summer trip.
Accurate here, and you know. I'm going to say it as that I'm wondering because the thought has crossed my mind with like the parallels to like the whole with the Snyderverse is like, is that going to become the new Ghostbusters 2 where it's like Dan Aykroyd was chasing Bill Murray with that script for like 15 years and then couldn't make it happen, and then all of a sudden some calamity happens with the franchise, and then oh no, it actually does happen. So what is that the fate of it? Is like it's like DC fans like we're going through like the new Ghostbusters.
Well, we're not waiting. Nobody's died yet to make the franchise go forward. Because Harold Ramis had to die for Bill Murray to come back and say, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it."
Well, I'm not asking. I don't want anybody to die for that.
I'm just saying that's the only reason why you're getting Afterlife with Bill Murray in this.
Let me be clear about that. I'm not asking for human sacrifice for any of that.
Okay, so
if be a first in Hollywood.
If they were able to honor Harold Ramis in this film, there's a part of me that wonders if Rick Moranis actually might come back and do a small cameo for this film. That would be fucking cool.
And they have been trying so hard.
But I doubt it. I really doubt it because Rick Moranis has retired from acting completely. But it'd be cool if he did.
They approached him for the 2016 Ghostbusters, and they also approached him for Afterlife, and he turned them down.
That's
was Sigourney Weaver? Was she in she wasn't in Afterlife? The first one.
She was in Afterlife. She was in the post-credit sequence with Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's been a minute since I saw it last. So,
it's funny. Like
he would be like the last guy to jump in for it from the original.
Right.
Cast.
Exactly. And like it's funny because I was never really a big Ghostbusters fan, but after seeing Afterlife, I was like, this franchise actually isn't that bad.
No, I've always been a huge Ghostbusters fan.
Well,
since,
you and Neil like go bonkers over it all the time.
Well,
I understood the reference here. I didn't like it. It just looks fake.
Well, where do you guys? Since we're on topic, where do you kind of stand on the 2016 one that everybody loves so much?
I've never heard of this. What are you talking about? I
haven't seen it.
There was one that came out in 2016.
Okay, I'll take that as a no.
I don't know. You're breaking up. Your audio is breaking up. I can't.
Yeah, like I said, I have not seen that movie, so I can't really give a solid opinion on it.
It was a shit movie.
Yeah, right. I thought I was just on it.
It was not good at all. It didn't hit for me at all. It was just bad. It was a bad remake because what they tried to do is they tried to remake and they gave you the same damn point story beat. They were just like, okay, but this time it's going to be with these people. It's like, dude, I've already seen this fucking movie. And I like the old version better. And the old version still stands up.
Wait, isn't the 2016 one with Chris Hemsworth as the secretary or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah, Chris
okay.
with the set with where there's a loud noise and he like covers his eyes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, which no, he's the secretary for the and they really emphasize that he has that he has
they tried to make it overboard.
He's like a live action Homer Simpson in it.
Wow.
Pretty much. He draws they're trying to come up with a logo, draws a ghost with boobs.
I could actually see Chris Hemsworth being a pretty decent live action Homer Simpson.
Yeah, I could, but no, I'm not kidding
that.
No, but
I mean, Chris does good comedy. You know,
yeah, when he's not with Taika Waititi.
Well, no. Even another crappy movie that he was charming or funny in was Vacation.
Oh, that's right. He was in that.
And he was funny in that. And he, being the big,
that was like the
guy,
reboot sequel, right? Where it's about the son, Russ.
It's about the son. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't seen that, but I've
was
heard
not
of
a good movie, but no, it exists.
That does happen, Phil, in the 2016 Ghost. But there's a part where there's like a loud noise in the office, and Hemsworth, he covers his eyes instead of his ears.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Okay.
But here he is, whatever, putting his horns on.
The villain of the movie, I presume.
The villain of the movie. It's not Zool or Gozer.
No.
I don't know who this is.
Probably a new character. I like that they have Rudd and Carrie Coon in the old style suits. I like that. I actually really dig that quite a fair bit.
So they're learning here. They use so Bounty must be and Charmin, they're probably sponsors. They probably have money invested because that was one of the things in the old Ghostbusters movie. I think it was a Coca-Cola can they kept turning in the fridge for the camera to see. It's very good product placement.
Nanjiani's in this. That's a nice draw.
Yeah.
IMO. He's a good actor. Now this is a great shot here where
her eye begins to
freeze. And,
she's being frozen. I like that.
Yeah. This is cool.
Hold on. Oh, okay. They're surprised at something.
For some reason I keep thinking that's Emma Thompson.
It does look a little bit like
Carrie Coon does look a little bit like Emma Thompson there. You're right. Specifically like Professor Trelawney from fucking Harry Potter and Prisoner of Azkaban.
Sure.
Yeah, good old Patton Oswalt here.
I think he's honestly here because he's probably a fan of Ghostbusters. That's
I think so.
He's in this movie because he's a fan of the franchise. That's my guess. I don't like this actor, but I like what's going on here.
He likes the YMCA.
I did like him a lot in It. But both him and Bill Hader.
Okay, you got me there. That's probably the one role that I do like him in is the fact that he's young Richie Tozier. Yeah,
I liked him in Ghostbusters Afterlife.
And the thing about it is, with both him and Bill Hader and in both It movies, like I saw both my friend Ashley, and at one point, I think it was in the second one, it was when Richie is kind of roasting Eddie in the Chinese restaurant. But I turn over, I go like, man, this version of Richie is an asshole.
Well, Bill Hader brought that out well.
Yeah, but so did the young Richie.
Yeah, young Richie. Well, Finn Wolfhard did a pretty solid job as young Richie, and even then, like Jack Dylan Grazer was a really great young Eddie, and then James Ransone was an even better older Eddie. Yeah, they're gazebo. Exactly. Yes. 100%.
So she has a PKE meter. It's still open. So I'm sure she's still trying to get a reading, even though it looks like they know what's up.
I really want that coat. I want that.
It's a cool coat.
It's a cool looking coat. Yeah, parka. There you go.
Yeah, it's a nice kind of variation on the Ghostbusters uniform.
Yep.
Well, I say, and that was another thing I did not like about the 2016 was adding the reflective white and orange. I was like, okay, so
that was a choice.
It was a choice.
I remember seeing that in the marketing. I was like, yeah, that's a choice.
Yeah. But I did like Ghostbusters 2 when they had the gray ones, the gray, fatigues or whatever. And of course, I like the tan.
There are a lot of things that there are a lot of things about. Yeah, there are a lot of things about Ghostbusters 2. I will defend. Like part of it is like the first part with the mood slime when they're yelling at it, and then when they go into the restaurant, and they go into the restaurant at the end after they find the river of mood slime in the sewer, and they're warning, they're press to Bill Murray saying, we got to get back to the museum and stop it. And Aykroyd, he like turns around really fast and flings his arms. Says, "Yeah, the museum," and he flings a bunch of the boot slime.
Yeah, and it lands on that lady.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff I like. That kind of stuff is funny. The only problem that I had with Ghostbusters 2, and I love it, is that it still had that same formulaic story beat, in that it kind of retold what the first one already did, but it did some different things. And Ivan Reitman kind of played his hand when he made the other movie, Evolution, which was the exact same fucking thing.
Yeah, it's Ghostbusters with aliens.
more or less.
Ghostbusters with aliens, and it was the same thing. It's like, okay, there's a big alien at the end, and look, it's Dan Aykroyd at the very end, like, hey, what's up? So yeah, it's just I was like, no, dude, I see what you did there, and therefore now, as an older, I guess young adolescent, I now can see what you did in Ghostbusters 2. You got me. So
the thing about it is in Evolution, they even have the exact template where they as far as like the actual team goes, where they have the group of scientists and they have like the one average Joe Schmo who just wanders into it.
Yep, you have Stifler.
Yeah.
No, well, and the thing is that both of them, Ernie Hudson and Sean Scott, they're both my favorite characters in both of them, because they are like they're the
everyday man that
who's bringing this common sense to her. It's like, hey, has it occurred to you guys that we've been so busy because the dead have been rising from the grave? And
said, and I would have, I like Ernie Hudson, but I would have put, because they were trying to get John Candy in a role. They were trying to give him Rick Moranis' role. But I think that John Candy would have been really good as Ernie Hudson's character.
I think they also had like a flow that like it was the Eddie Murphy, I think, at one point too.
They did approach Eddie as well, but they only approached Candy for the lawyer, Rick Moranis' role. They never thought to put him in as a Ghostbuster. I thought that having an overweight Ghostbuster like John Candy would have lent to a lot of funny stuff in situations, because that's the thing about the Ghostbusters that I think Afterlife captures, and I think this one will hopefully capture as well, is that it's not, and this is what 2016 didn't get, is that it's not so much a comedy. It's people who are funny that are in in scary situations, but you get to see how they react to the shit.
Yeah,
and that's the sauce right there.
Yeah, they don't understand that if someone asks if you're a god, you say yes.
But with the 2016 Ghostbusters, they were trying to make a comedy, and it just didn't hit. Because it wasn't funny.
Especially with the material they gave Hemsworth, which is very, very hit and miss in it.
Yeah,
and a
lot of that stuff was impromptu, and a lot of that stuff was improvised.
Yeah. Well, it's like I get like he is. I mean, he has expressed with the Thor movies, like he had expressed wanting to add some more levity to it, but the problem is they just massively overcorrected with as far as Thor goes.
Oh, sure, yeah. Thor is charming and he's funny and he's just like the first Thor. He's like, I like this drink,
but he's not Fred Flintstone.
Yeah,
wild,
good stuff. But anyway, so I am interested in the Ghostbusters movie. I think this one is going to hit pretty well. Just like the last one. This one was also shot by Jason. So
actually, I'm pretty sure it's actually a different director, but Jason is attached as
he's attached to it. It might be a different director, but he brought us the last one. I don't think he's gonna. I hope not. I hope this is good. Well, let's just leave it at that. And Mr. Freeze is definitely in the movie.
Yeah, so directed by Gil Kenan, but written by Jason Reitman and Gil Kenan. And I'm pretty sure Gil Kenan actually helped write the last one, Afterlife, as well. So,
good. Okay, well then there you have it. Recipe for success.
Yes.
Yeah, so look forward to it. And again, it's like it's still with the log jam they're going to be experiencing, post strike. It's like this could still get moved, from spring. So
it's possible, but I don't think so.
It's like
majority of it
already. William is pretty convinced that Dune 2 is going to get moved. It's going to be moved from March to November next year.
No, I'm sorry. No, Warner Brothers is not going to move that movie again, especially after today. Ain't fucking happening. They're going to keep that March date.
Yeah, I think so.
Ain't no way they're moving that film a second time. Ain't going to happen.
So the other big portion of news, I guess, is coming out with this weekend. Is the
Sunday?
Rebel Moon
Yes.
trailer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Rebel Moon. Yeah.
trailer.
Then well, now
Netflix
wait.
in general.
Yeah. Which yeah, I do need to interject real quick before we get into Rebel Moon because the other big thing as far as this Netflix event that the only thing that compares to it for anticipation for me is the Avatar: The Last Airbender second shot at live action cannot possibly not exceed that 2010 monstrosity. We're getting a trailer for that tomorrow. Cannot wait. Love Avatar. So
I think he's the 4th supporting character in this one.
Aang. Come on. or Ong, as he was called in the 2010 movie.
Yeah.
I still to this day, like here's a funny story because I didn't get into Avatar until after the movie came out. But I had a lot of friends who were really into it. Yeah. They kind of recommended it to me, but I saw it with a friend when it originally came out theatrically. And I'll never forget this. We had this row of 10-year-old kids in front of us. And as soon as Ong came on screen, these kids, I swear to you, they start turning to each other and go like, Ong? Like, what the Ong?
It's funny. You just made me think of the time me and my best friends all saw Dragon Ball Evolution. And when the credits rolled, I was like, man, this film would have been so much better with Krillin in it. And like some little 10, 11-year-old turns around and goes, you don't know a damn thing about Dragon Ball Z. And I looked at him, I was like, you don't know who the fuck I am. Like, what? Clearly you don't know a fucking thing about Dragon Ball Z. Because Krillin was around during Dragon Ball. But no, it was yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so I my Avatar excitement in there real quick because we are getting the trailer for
it
that
looks good
tomorrow. Yeah,
like the stills and stuff, it looks really good.
Yeah, and it's and like which is way more than we could say for the first attempt in live action.
For sure, definitely.
Oh, don't even get me started on that one. So yeah, I got to get off of that now. Let's go to Rebel Moon because I'm just gonna if you let me go on that rant, I'm just not gonna be able to stop.
So I don't doubt one bit that probably everyone here, including Dawson, including Andre, we're all probably gonna like go ham next Wednesday when that Rebel Moon trailer drops on Sunday. I'm sure we'll talk about it then. But I do believe that this is the story trailer that we're probably gonna get come Sunday.
Well, also it's going to because the first one was advertising both movies, so this will be more focused on a Child of Fire.
Right. Very true.
So
and who knows? Maybe we're even going to see actual people from production promote it now too. Since
I love this where it's like the R it was I love that.
Yeah. And I think it was even announced. I think even today that the R-rated versions are coming later next year.
Yeah, so we have like a year's worth of like the Rebel Moon train running, as far as just these two movies. And like I said, with the strike ending, I said that obviously with Jason Momoa and Aquaman 2, but also with the cast of Rebel Moon. I mean, Zach, I think I don't think anybody would doubt that Zack Snyder is he has proven himself to be his own marketing machine at this point. So I never had any doubt that he was going to be a very strong presence and be a very just vocal and enthusiastic voice as far as marketing this. But now he's actually going to have the cast be able to participate in marketing Rebel Moon. So that's I was going to hate it for them if they weren't going to be able to do that.
That's a win. It's going to be a win having the cast there to actually help promote it too. Not to say that to Brad's point that Zach is not a marketing machine in of himself, because he is. He absolutely is. I mean, for fuck's sake, the tickets to Full Circle sold out in 5 minutes, for crying out loud. So come on, anyone who says that Zack Snyder is not a marketing genius has absolutely zero fucking clue of what they're talking about. Straight up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely, and so yeah, like everybody, Sophia Boutella, both Rays, Ray Fisher, Ray Porter. I was looking forward to seeing their interviews in this.
Charlie Hunnam. Yep.
Yeah. Will it be Charlie? Will it be? Of course, that's going to be looming in the background with his green hood and Errol Flynn goatee.
Well, certainly. And then
pretty much.
Like Michael Heisman also, I believe, is part of the cast. There's
Jimon Hansu.
Jimon Hansu, yeah.
You're right. Yep. So. I'm thinking Sunday's going to be, now that this is over, I'm sure that come Sunday, Netflix is like, okay, who the fuck can we get right now? We need to promote this shit now.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I'm excited. I'm just excited to see more footage of this film. Obviously, I mean, since Dune got pushed back, I'm just itching for more sci-fi stuff, and this is absolutely in my wheelhouse. And I'm just really, again, looking forward to it. I'm also very curious to see what kind of Army of the Dead tie is in this movie.
Oh, just like an Easter egg?
Yeah. Apparently, there's an Easter egg tying Army of the Dead and this together in the same.
Certainly.
Which by the for everybody watching, for those of you, there was some kind of little bit of concern that in that latest interview Zach gave that Army of the Dead Las Vegas had been canceled, but he has since clarified on social media that it has not been.
Correct.
So my reading of that is that it's kind of just more taking a backseat because he's just been focused on this for the time being.
I can agree with that. Yeah, that makes sense. And also, you know, this apparently the studio who was working on the animation lost funding, so the project was halted. So there is that too, which sucks.
Yeah,
like I guess everything's like all said and done, but like they just need to put the fine tune on it and put it out there. Come on, Netflix, you got the fucking dough to do it. Do it.
Yeah, but they're also trying to do the Norse movie, right? Which is also animated.
Twilight of the Gods. You're right.
Yes. Which we're ready for some some good Thor action here.
Yes. Oh yes. I mean, they announced the cast for that months ago.
Oh yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a fucking minute. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah, but of course, we have also had the news that Rebel Moon will be having a theatrical run, not a wide one, but it's going to be like in New York, LA, where's it, Toronto, and London, I think, is where it's going to have and like precede its Netflix debut by about a week, which of course, couldn't come any closer to me. Yeah, I'm not bitter about that at all.
Well, I believe they're doing that because Netflix owns those theaters.
They own.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Well, also like one thing William and I have discussed is that this is potentially also a little bit of a an Oscar push in terms of like getting visual effects attention, or I could totally see in like costume design and set design attention alongside visual effects.
Sure. Yeah, because I mean it looks good. Everything it looks practical. It looks great. And Zach never so far in a lot of his films of like the CG still stands. I mean it holds up. He knows.
God, it's like
That's one of the things that I really like about him, and sort of I guess that's sort of why he gravitated toward this. With like even George Lucas. George Lucas is a great technical director, and that's why he was he's able to pull off some of the things that he was able to pull off. Some of the stuff in George's shit doesn't hold up because they're still pioneering different effects and methods and things like that. But Zach's stuff, I mean, look at Man of Steel. That stuff.
Yeah, or Steppenwolf. Like one thing that really jumped out at me.
Sure.
Steppenwolf. Like look at his armor.
Steppenwolf was made by a smaller crew during a pandemic.
Yeah, in 10 months. 10 months. And like look at the way his armor pulsates, and you could see like the little chinks
and compare that to like
I just go back to Doomsday
theatrical films.
Like BVS Doomsday is still fucking one of the best looking Doomsdays I've ever seen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's even comparison with Krypton. Not to say that Krypton had a bad one, but like I still prefer Doomsday from Batman vs Superman personally.
Yeah. But like I'm trying to think what's really stood out as VFX wise and what we've seen the Rebel Moon marketing.
Well, I mean, Army of the Dead, like the most recent thing to me that stands out the most is the fucking tiger.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. The
tiger. That tiger looks bad. The fucking ass,
awesome. Yeah.
And it's entirely CGI. God damn! I love looking at that tiger in that movie.
Yeah, I'm trying to think also I think I've mentioned on prior streams is that I can foresee Anthony Hopkins Jimmy, or that's the acronym for like JMC 3000 is the proper cyborg name. I could just foresee him becoming like just such a breakout character in this. I just feel like he's going to be like
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins.
He is the cyborg with the antlers in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like positioning him as like C-3PO, but he's a warrior.
He's more of a lobot.
Well, he doesn't have like R2D2 slowing him down and getting him lost in desert. So he's
right.
A lot more level.
Cortez, I will defend the fuck out of that movie any day of the week. Anything in that movie, I'll fucking defend it. I don't care.
Yeah, likewise.
Like, straight up. Yeah. Like fucking Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor, hands down, best Lex Luthor in live action film to date, bar none, no questions asked. Like, because he fucking won. Okay.
Yeah.
What was every other version of Lex Luthor on films? Big scheme. Fucking real estate. Ooh, fucking ha. BF fucking D. Guess what Lex Luthor did in Batman vs Superman? He fucking killed Superman. Okay. He wins straight up. And he knows who fucking Batman is. He wins. Lex Luthor fucking wins because that's what Lex Luthor does. He wins.
Let's see what guns Luthor brings.
I don't know. We'll see about that.
Real estate.
But and also another point I'll add to that is like the warehouse fight, which is still bar none the best Batman fight scene ever. But it's like I'm telling you, it's like maybe if we get when Zach starts making the rounds and we William and I we would love to have the chance to speak to him, obviously, just like all of us would. But one thing I would love to ask is that because I've added in this theory with the BBS warehouse fight, Zach saw the Raid movies and said, I want to do that with a Batman fight scene.
Sounds about right. Wouldn't shock me at all. And honestly, even bring it to Rebel Moon in a visual standpoint, when the character jumps on the fucking Griffin thing, it's like, that's bad fuck ass. That shit looks rad as fuck. Can't wait to see that on my TV. Because unfortunately, like, with Army of the Dead, they had that week before the movie came out on Netflix where they did a week run in theaters. And I'm like, why the fuck can we get that for this?
No, yeah, we definitely.
Like,
it was
I would have paid the money to go see it, but
Sure.
if people couldn't make it to full circle and this is their chance to get to see a Snyder film before it releases, by all means, enjoy that.
The other thing, when we talked about him, the character, I believe his name was Tarek or Tarak, who's jumping off of the onto the Griffin. The other thing that this is kind of running parallel to what he does in CSJL is that the trademark of his that he really brought back in that, and then I also see him really bringing back a Rebel Moon, is speed ramping. That's all over 300. That's all over Watchmen. That's all over Sucker Punch. And he didn't really do it so much in Man of Steel or BVS, but he just brought it back, just with a vengeance in Zack Snyder's Justice League. And again, that's all over the Rebel Moon trailer. And it's something. It's a trademark of his I've always really appreciated, especially in in his action scenes. So I'm really looking forward to that in Rebel Moon.
Yeah. And since we've officially crossed the 2-hour mark, I think that is probably a good point to put a pin in it for now, because I know Ryan has to take off here pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to show appreciation to Brad for joining us and kind of weighing in on all this stuff.
Oh, my pleasure, guys.
And we had a good time. And I thank everybody in the chat that's been commenting and kind of adding to our dialogue. But tell us where everybody can check you out. That is on we have a podcast, right?
He writes for Screen Rant.
Me. I thought you were talking to Phil.
Yes, you first. You're the guest, buddy.
You can find me on as far as social media. You can find me on Twitter and Vero, somewhat on Facebook. As far you can find my writing on Kung Fu Kingdom and on Screen Rant, and you can also hear me and Mr. William Powell just break a lot, all these kinds of topics down on the Sci-Fi Center.
Oh, I'm next.
Yeah, you're next.
You're next. I guess I'm next.
Eternal Night.
Yeah, the Eternal Night. Craig and I are cooking up a couple episodes here pretty soon. We've been on kind of not really a hiatus, but just the Halloween season kind of got the better of us because we both really love Halloween. We tried getting something out beforehand, but we just got way too busy. But we are working on some new episodes for the future. You can catch me on here, the 4Nerds. You can catch me on, practically every other social, just at Unfiltered. So that's Vero, X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads. Probably find me on Facebook if you search my name, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than that, and of course, DC United is hoping to have its first show November 17th this year, 2023.
Nice. And that's going to kick off DC United.
Yes.
Yep. There you go. So everybody look forward to that. And you can check us out. Even Andre and Dawson, who decided not to show. You can follow them as well on all social media platforms. Pretty much the same stuff. But yeah, thank everybody for showing up, and we'll catch you next time. Later.
Later, guys.